At my son's wedding, he stood up and said, "I want to thank my real mom, Sarah, for making me the man I am today. She taught me what love really means." Then he looked right at me and added, "And thanks to Linda for giving birth to me. That was her only job." The crowd gasped. What I did next shocked everyone. Let me tell you the whole story. But first, thank you for watching Granny Twisted Tales. Your support means everything to us. If you enjoy our family drama stories, please hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment telling us what state you're watching from. Today's special shout-out goes to Betty Johnson from Texas. We love having you here, Betty. Now, let's dive into this crazy story. I always believed that being a mother meant showing up, not just for the big moments, but for the small ones too. The scraped knees, the bad dreams, the homework tears. I thought if you loved someone enough, they would feel it in their bones. I was wrong. After my divorce when Tommy was 8, I didn't fight dirty for custody. I wanted what was best for him, not what was best for my broken heart. So I agreed to every other weekend and half the holidays. I moved closer to the school, only 10 minutes away. I never missed a single soccer game, even when it meant sitting next to my ex-husband and his new girlfriend, Sarah. I swallowed my pride so many times. I watched Sarah braid his hair for picture day. I saw her pack his lunch with little notes. And I kept quiet because I thought that's what good mothers do. They put their children first, even when it hurts. I didn't want to be the bitter ex-wife who made her son choose sides. So I smiled and waved and pretended my heart wasn't breaking every time he called her house home. I overcompensated in every way I could. Every birthday was special. I planned treasure hunts around the neighborhood. I made his favorite cookies from scratch. Once I even hired a magician for just the two of us in my tiny apartment. He would laugh and hug me tight and say, "Mom, you're the best." Those moments kept me going through the lonely nights. But slowly, things started to change. His hugs got shorter. His visits felt more like obligations. When I asked about school, he'd say, "I already told Sarah about that." When I planned special trips, he'd ask if Sarah could come too. I felt myself becoming a stranger in my own son's life. But I told myself it was normal. Kids grow up. They get busy. They don't need their mothers as much. I was just being sensitive. When Tommy got engaged to his college sweetheart, Emma, I was so happy. Finally, something that was just ours to celebrate. He asked me to help plan the wedding. I spent months picking out flowers, tasting cakes, addressing invitations. I felt important again. Like I mattered. Sarah helped too, of course. She had opinions about everything. But for once, I didn't mind sharing. This was my son's big day. I bought a beautiful dress, got my hair done, and felt proud to be the mother of the groom. I couldn't wait to dance with my boy at his wedding. The wedding was perfect. Emma looked like a princess. Tommy looked so handsome in his black suit. I sat in the front row, dabbing my eyes with tissues. This was my baby boy becoming a man. During the reception, it was time for speeches. Emma's parents spoke first, telling funny stories about their daughter. Then my ex-husband stood up and made a nice toast about love and commitment. Everyone was laughing and crying happy tears. Then Tommy took the microphone. My heart swelled with pride. This was my moment to hear my son thank me for all those years of love and sacrifice. "I want to thank everyone for being here," Tommy began. "This day wouldn't be possible without the people who raised me." I leaned forward, ready for his words. "First, I want to thank my real mom, Sarah. She's the one who taught me how to be a good man. She showed me what unconditional love looks like. She never missed a baseball game or a school play. She helped me with homework every night and made sure I knew right from wrong." The room erupted in applause. I felt confused. What about all the games I attended? What about all the homework help I gave? Then Tommy looked directly at me. "And I want to thank Linda for giving birth to me. That was her main job, and she did it well." The crowd went silent. Some people looked uncomfortable. Others stared at me with pity in their eyes. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. 25 years of motherhood reduced to just giving birth. I sat there frozen, unable to move or speak. Tommy continued talking, but I couldn't hear the words anymore. There was a ringing in my ears. My hands started shaking. I wanted to disappear into the floor. Emma's mother reached over and squeezed my hand. She looked horrified. Other guests were whispering and pointing. I felt so embarrassed and hurt. When Tommy finished his speech, everyone clapped politely. But the energy in the room had changed. People kept looking at me like they felt sorry for me. I excused myself and went to the bathroom. I locked the door and finally let the tears fall. How could my own son humiliate me like this? In front of everyone I knew, I looked in the mirror and saw a woman who'd been erased from her own child's story. I stayed in that bathroom for 15 minutes, trying to pull myself together. When I came out, the party was still going, but everything felt different. People avoided eye contact with me. Some relatives came over to say they were sorry about what happened. Even Sarah looked uncomfortable. She tried to approach me, but I walked away. I couldn't handle her fake sympathy right then. I found Tommy on the dance floor with Emma. He was laughing and spinning her around, completely unaware of the damage he had caused. Or maybe he just didn't care. I waited until after the father-daughter dance, then quietly collected my purse and coat. No one noticed me leaving except Emma's mom, who gave me a sad wave. I drove home in silence, still wearing my fancy dress and makeup. But inside, I felt empty and broken. That night, I sat in my kitchen and made a decision that would change everything. I wasn't going to chase after my son anymore. I wasn't going to beg for his love or attention. If he saw me as just a biological function, then maybe it was time to step back completely. I was done being treated like I didn't matter. I didn't sleep that night. I kept replaying Tommy's words over and over. That was her main job. Like carrying him for 9 months, giving birth, raising him alone for 8 years meant nothing. Like all the sleepless nights when he was sick, all the school projects, all the bedtime stories were just basic requirements. I thought about all the sacrifices I made, the promotions I turned down to be home with him, the dates I didn't go on because he needed me, the dreams I put aside to make sure he had everything he wanted. None of it mattered to him. In his story, Sarah was the hero, and I was just a woman who happened to give birth to him. By morning, I had made up my mind. I wasn't going to call him. I wasn't going to text him. I wasn't going to send care packages or birthday cards. If he wanted a relationship with me, he would have to make the first move, and he would have to apologize for what he said. Really apologize, not just say sorry that I got my feelings hurt. I was going to protect my dignity for once in my life. 3 days passed without a word from Tommy. Not a call, not a text, nothing. He was probably too busy with his honeymoon planning to even think about what he had said. On day 4, my phone rang. It was him. "Hey, Mom," he said cheerfully, like nothing had happened. "Emma and I want to take you to lunch to thank you for all your help at the wedding." I took a deep breath. "No, thank you," I said quietly. "What? Why not?" he asked, sounding confused. "Because you humiliated me at your wedding, and you don't even realize it," I replied. "Oh, come on, Mom. You're being too sensitive," he said with a laugh. "It was just a speech. Everyone knows I love you." "Do they?" I asked. "Because you told a room full of people that giving birth was my only job as your mother. You erased 25 years of my life in 30 seconds. There was silence on the other end. Then he sighed. "Look, I didn't mean it like that. You're overreacting. Sarah has just been more involved lately. That's all. More involved." I repeated, "Tommy, I was there for everything. Every scraped knee, every bad dream, every homework assignment. But Sarah was there for the important stuff," he said, and I could hear the impatience in his voice. "The high school years, college applications, girlfriend problems. The stuff that really shaped me into who I am." I felt like he had slapped me across the face. "The important stuff?" I whispered. "Tommy, I was your mother for the first 8 years of your life. Those weren't practice years. Those were real years. I taught you to walk, to talk, to read. I was there when you were scared of the dark and when you had your first day of school." I know," he said quickly, "and I'm grateful for that. But Sarah stepped up when Dad remarried. She became like a real mother to me." "Like a real mother?" I repeated. What does that make me? A fake mother? You know what I mean, he said, getting defensive. Sarah was there during my teenage years. She helped me become the man I am today. And what about the 8 years before that? I asked, what about the foundation I built? Do those years mean nothing to you? He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something that broke my heart completely. Mom, you need to accept that Sarah raised me. You gave birth to me, and I'm thankful for that. But she made me who I am. I hung up the phone. I couldn't listen to another word. My own son had just told me that the most important years of his life were the ones without me, that everything I did, everything I sacrificed, everything I gave up was just a warm-up act for the real mother who came later. I sat in my living room and cried harder than I had cried since my divorce. But these weren't just tears of sadness. They were tears of realization. I realized that I had been holding onto a relationship that only existed in my memory. The little boy who used to need me, who used to call me his whole world, was gone. In his place was a man who saw me as a footnote in his own story. And I couldn't keep pretending that was enough. That afternoon, I did something I had never done before. I blocked Tommy's number. Not forever, but until I could figure out how to move forward. I needed space to heal from what he had said. I needed time to remember who I was before I became the mother of an ungrateful son. For the first time in 25 years, I put myself first. I made plans that didn't revolve around Tommy's schedule. I bought clothes that I liked, not ones that made me look like a good mother. I went on dates with nice men who appreciated my company. I rediscovered hobbies I had given up when Tommy was born. I started painting again, something I loved in college but never had time for as a busy mother. Slowly, I began to remember who Linda was, not just as Tommy's mom, but as her own person. A month passed, then 2 months. Tommy tried calling from Emma's phone, but I didn't answer. He sent emails that I deleted without reading. He even showed up at my apartment once, but I pretended I wasn't home. I wasn't ready to hear more excuses or half-hearted apologies. I needed him to sit with what he had done, to really think about how his words had hurt me. Maybe then he would understand that being a mother isn't just about the teenage years. It's about the whole journey, from the very beginning. My sister called me one day, worried about the situation. "Linda, you're being stubborn," she said. "He's your only child. Do you really want to lose him over one speech?" "I already lost him," I replied. I just finally accepted it. "But he loves you," she insisted. "Does he?" I asked, because love doesn't humiliate someone in front of 100 people. Love doesn't reduce a mother to just a birth giver. Love doesn't dismiss 25 years of sacrifice with a wave of the hand. My sister was quiet. She knew I was right. 3 months after the wedding, I ran into Sarah at the grocery store. She looked uncomfortable when she saw me. "Linda," she said awkwardly, "how are you?" "I'm doing well," I replied honestly. "How's Tommy?" He misses you," she said quietly. "He asks about you all the time." "Does he?" I asked, because he has a funny way of showing it. Sarah looked down at her feet. "I need to tell you something," she said. "What he said at the wedding, it wasn't right. You were a wonderful mother to him. I've always known that." I was surprised by her honesty. "Thank you for saying that," I said. "I know you love him too, and you were there for him when he needed you. I'm not trying to take that away. But I was there first. I was there when it was hard and scary, and when no one else would help." Sarah nodded, tears in her eyes. "He's proud, like his father. He doesn't want to admit he was wrong. Pride is a luxury I can't afford anymore," I replied. "I spent too many years swallowing my pride to keep the peace. I'm done with that." That conversation with Sarah made me feel validated in a way I hadn't expected. Even she could see that what Tommy said was wrong. Even she understood that I had been erased from my own son's story unfairly. It gave me the strength to continue keeping my distance. I wasn't being stubborn or petty. I was protecting myself from further hurt. If Tommy wanted me back in his life, he would have to do the work. He would have to acknowledge what he had done and make it right. 6 months passed. I started dating a wonderful man named Robert, who had 2 grown daughters of his own. He understood what it meant to love children unconditionally, even when they hurt you. Some kids don't appreciate their parents until they become parents themselves, he told me one evening as we walked through the park. Maybe Tommy will come around someday. Maybe, I said, but I can't wait around for that day. I have to live my life now. Robert squeezed my hand. You deserve to be happy, Linda, with or without Tommy's approval. One evening, my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and saw Tommy standing there with a bouquet of flowers. He looked older somehow, more tired. I debated whether to answer the door. Part of me wanted to let him stand there and think about what he had done. But another part of me, the mother part that would always love him, couldn't ignore him completely. I opened the door, but didn't invite him in. "Hi, Mom," he said quietly. "Can we talk?" I looked at him for a long moment. "That depends," I said. "Are you here to apologize, or are you here to tell me I'm overreacting again?" He looked down at his feet, then back up at me. "I'm here to apologize," he said. "Really apologize. Not because Emma made me or because Sarah told me to, but because I finally understand what I did to you." I stepped aside and let him into my apartment. He sat on the couch, still holding the flowers like he didn't know what to do with them. "I've been thinking about what I said at my wedding," he began. "And I've been thinking about my childhood, all those years before Dad remarried." He paused, his voice getting thick with emotion. "I remember now," he continued. "I remember you reading to me every night. I remember you taking me to the park every Saturday. I remember you staying up all night when I had the flu, putting cool cloths on my forehead, and making me soup." Tears started rolling down his cheeks. "I remember you working 2 jobs so I could take karate lessons. I remember you missing work when I had school plays. I remember you being my whole world before I even knew there was anything else. So why did you erase all of that?" I asked gently. "Why did you reduce me to just giving birth?" He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. "Because it was easier," he admitted. "It was easier to pretend that my childhood didn't matter than to deal with the guilt of choosing Sarah over you during my teenage years. It was easier to rewrite history than to admit that I had hurt the person who loved me most." His honesty surprised me. This was the most real conversation we had had in years. "Tommy," I said softly, "I never wanted you to choose between me and Sarah. I just wanted you to remember that I existed, that I mattered, that those 8 years we had together before the divorce weren't just practice years. They were real love, real sacrifice, real motherhood." He nodded, crying harder now. "I know that now. I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm sorry for what I said at my wedding. I'm sorry for dismissing all those years. I'm sorry for making you feel like you didn't matter when you were the person who mattered most." I felt something inside me soften. This was the apology I had been waiting for. Not a quick, "sorry you got hurt," but a real acknowledgement of what he had done and why it was wrong. "Thank you," I said quietly. "That means everything to me." We sat in silence for a moment, both of us crying. Then Tommy looked up at me with eyes that reminded me of the little boy he used to be. "Can you forgive me?" he asked. "Can we try again?" I thought about it carefully. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting. It didn't mean pretending it never happened. "I can forgive you," I said finally, "but things need to be different between us. I need you to see me as a real person with real feelings. I need you to acknowledge my role in your life, not just the convenient parts, but all of it. I need you to understand that I'm not just here to serve you. I'm here to love you, but that love has to go both ways." Tommy nodded eagerly. "Yes, absolutely. I want to do better. Mom, I want to make this right." It was a start, not a perfect ending, but a new beginning. We talked for 2 more hours that night. Tommy told me about his fears of becoming a father himself someday. He worried that he wouldn't know how to be a good dad because he had dismissed the example I had set for him. "You were an amazing mother," he said. "I was just too proud to admit it when I got older. I thought that would make me seem like a mama's boy or something stupid like that." "There's nothing wrong with loving your mother," I told him. "There's nothing wrong with being grateful for the sacrifices parents make." Before he left that night, Tommy hugged me tighter than he had hugged me in years. "I love you, Mom," he whispered. "The real you, not just a version of you that was convenient for me." "I love you, too," I replied. "I always have, and I always will. But I love myself, too, now, and that's not going to change." He smiled through his tears. "I'm glad you learned to put yourself first. You deserve that." As I watched him drive away, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Our relationship didn't magically become perfect overnight. There were still awkward moments and difficult conversations. But slowly, we began to rebuild something real between us. Tommy started calling me regularly, not just when he needed something. He invited me to dinner with him and Emma, and during those meals, he would tell stories about his childhood that included me. He started acknowledging my role in shaping who he became. It felt good to be seen again by my own son. A year later, Tommy and Emma announced they were expecting their first child. When Tommy called to tell me the news, he said something that made my heart soar. "Mom, I want you to be really involved with this baby. I want them to know their grandmother, who taught their father how to love unconditionally." I cried happy tears that day. My grandchild would know me not as just a relative, but as someone who mattered, someone who had shaped their father's life in meaningful ways. As I sit here now, writing this story for Granny Twisted Tales, I think about the lessons I learned from that painful time. Sometimes loving someone means stepping back when they take you for granted. Sometimes it means protecting your own dignity, even when it's hard. Sometimes it means making people earn their way back into your life instead of just accepting whatever scraps they throw your way. I learned that being a mother doesn't mean being a doormat. It means loving yourself enough to demand respect. My relationship with Tommy is stronger now than it ever was before, not because we pretend that wedding speech never happened, but because we face it head on. We dealt with the hurt, the disappointment, the years of taking each other for granted. We built something new on a foundation of honesty instead of obligation, and that makes all the difference in the world. Sometimes the best thing you can do for someone you love is to stop enabling their bad behavior. Sometimes love looks like walking away until they're ready to appreciate what they had. To anyone listening who has ever been taken for granted by their own children, I want you to know that your feelings are valid. Your sacrifices mattered. Your love was real, even if it wasn't appreciated at the time. Don't let anyone convince you that you're being too sensitive or overreacting. You have the right to be treated with respect and dignity, especially by the people you've given everything to. Sometimes the hardest lesson we can teach our children is that we are people too, with feelings and limits and the right to be valued. I'm not saying everyone should cut off their children when they hurt them. Every situation is different, but I am saying that you have the right to protect yourself from being diminished or dismissed. You have the right to step back and demand better treatment. You have the right to love yourself as much as you love them. And sometimes, that distance is exactly what's needed to remind everyone of your worth. Sometimes you have to disappear from someone's life for them to realize how important you really were. My story had a happy ending because Tommy was willing to do the work. He was willing to face what he had done and make real changes. Not everyone gets that kind of closure. Some parents have to learn to be happy without their children's approval or appreciation, and that's okay too. Your worth as a person, as a parent, as a human being doesn't depend on whether your children acknowledge it or not. You know what you did. You know how much you sacrificed. You know how much you loved. That has to be enough sometimes. Looking back now, I'm actually grateful for that painful wedding speech. Not because I enjoyed being humiliated, but because it forced me to face the truth about our relationship. It forced me to stop accepting crumbs and start demanding the full meal. It forced Tommy to confront his own behavior and make a choice about what kind of man he wanted to be. Sometimes the worst moments in our lives become the catalyst for the best changes. Sometimes we have to be broken down completely before we can build something better. If you're in a situation where you feel invisible or taken for granted, I encourage you to speak up. Don't suffer in silence, hoping things will magically get better. They won't. People treat you the way you allow them to treat you. If you accept being diminished, you will continue to be diminished. But if you stand up for yourself, if you demand respect, If you're willing to walk away from people who can't appreciate you, you might be surprised by how quickly things change. Sometimes people don't realize what they have until they lose it. Your children need to learn that you are a real person with real feelings. They need to understand that being their parent doesn't mean being their servant or their ATM or their emotional punching bag. They need to learn gratitude and respect and appreciation. And the only way they'll learn those things is if you teach them by example, by valuing yourself, by setting boundaries, by refusing to accept treatment that you wouldn't accept from a stranger. Love doesn't mean accepting abuse or disrespect. Love means caring enough to demand better. To all the parents out there who have given everything to their children, I see you. I honor your sacrifices. I acknowledge your love and your dedication, and your endless commitment to people who might not always appreciate it. You are not too sensitive. You are not asking for too much. You deserve to be valued and respected and loved in return. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Your feelings matter. Your experiences matter. You matter. And if your children can't see that yet, maybe it's time to step back and let them figure it out. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give your adult children is the opportunity to miss you, to realize what life is like without your constant support and presence, to understand that you're not just there to make their lives easier. You're there because you choose to be, and that choice can be revoked if they don't treat you with basic human decency. It's not about punishment or revenge. It's about self-preservation and teaching them that relationships require mutual respect and appreciation. My grandson was born 6 months ago, and he is the light of my life. But more importantly, Tommy makes sure he knows who I am. He tells him stories about how Grandma Linda taught Daddy to ride a bike and helped with his homework and stayed up all night when he was sick. My grandchild will grow up knowing that I matter, that I played an important role in shaping his father. That's all I ever wanted, just to be seen and acknowledged and appreciated for the love I gave. It took a painful journey to get here, but it was worth every tear. As I watch Tommy with his son, I see the parent I raised him to be. He's patient and loving and present. He learned those qualities from me, even if he forgot for a while who taught them to him. Children don't raise themselves. They become who they are because of the foundation their parents build for them. That foundation matters, even if it gets forgotten or dismissed for a time. The truth has a way of revealing itself eventually. Love has a way of coming full circle. If this story resonates with you, if you've ever felt erased or dismissed by your own children, please know that you're not alone. Your experiences are valid. Your hurt is real. Your desire for respect and appreciation is completely normal. Don't let anyone gaslight you into thinking you're asking for too much. You're not. You're asking for basic human decency from the people you've loved most in this world. And that's not too much to ask for, ever. Share your story in the comments below. Tell us about times when you felt taken for granted by family members. Tell us how you found the strength to stand up for yourself. Tell us about your journey to self-respect and self-love. Your voice matters here at Granny Twisted Tales. We're a community of people who understand that family relationships aren't always easy, but they should always be based on mutual respect and love. Sometimes the hardest person to learn to love is yourself, but it's the most important lesson you'll ever learn. Remember to like this video if it touched your heart. Subscribe to Granny Twisted Tales for more real stories about family drama, personal growth, and finding your strength. Hit that notification bell so you never miss when we post new content. And please share this story with anyone who might need to hear it. Sometimes we all need a reminder that we matter, that our feelings are valid, and that we have the right to be treated with dignity and respect by everyone in our lives, especially our own children. Thank you for being part of our community here at Granny Twisted Tales. Thank you for listening to my story and for making me feel heard and valued. Your support means everything to me. Until next time, remember that you are worthy of love and respect. You are worthy of being seen and appreciated. You are worthy of being more than just what you can do for other people. You are a whole, complete, valuable person all on your own. Never forget that. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next story. Before I go, I want to leave you with this thought. Healing doesn't always look like reconciliation. Sometimes it looks like acceptance. Sometimes it looks like moving forward without the apology you deserve. Sometimes it looks like creating a new life that doesn't revolve around the people who hurt you. And that's okay. You don't need anyone's permission to heal. You don't need anyone's validation to move forward. You just need to love yourself enough to take the first step. Whether your story ends with reconciliation like mine did, or whether it ends with you finding peace on your own, both endings are valid. Both are beautiful in their own way. What matters is that you choose yourself. What matters is that you refuse to accept being treated as less than you deserve. What matters is that you remember your worth, even when the people you love most seem to forget it. You are enough. You have always been enough, and you always will be enough. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. Thank you for being part of this journey with me. This is Linda from Granny Twisted Tales, reminding you that your story matters. Your voice matters. Your feelings matter. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Stand up for yourself. Demand the respect you deserve. Love yourself fiercely. And remember that sometimes the people who hurt us the most are the ones who teach us the most about our own strength and resilience. Every painful experience is an opportunity to grow stronger and more sure of who you are. Use that pain as fuel to create a better life for yourself. Keep sharing your stories. Keep supporting each other. Keep believing in your own worth. And remember that no matter what happens, no matter who stays or goes, no matter who appreciates you or takes you for granted, you are a complete person worthy of love and respect. Take care of yourselves, beautiful souls. I'll see you next time with another story that will remind you of your own strength and power. Until then, keep loving yourself first. You deserve it. Goodbye for now from all of us at